the New York Racing Association, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use of this event without the expressed written consent of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses, and a happy Veterans Day to all, especially, of course, the veterans as well. And it would be impossible to thank the veterans enough for all they've done for us and all they continue to do for us and everything they've given to this country to make this country as great as it is. But a happy Veterans Day. And it's a special Veterans Day card at Aqueduct. I can't remember the last time we ran a Veterans Day. I remember we used to run back here, I know in the 90s, not sure when we stopped, but we're running today. 10 race card. David Aragona from Daily Racing Form will be joining me in just a moment. Head over to Naira Bets. If you are not a member of Naira Bets, time to join. Use the promo code Big A. We'll match up at $200. Also, through Naira Bets, you can play our contest, the Aqueduct Challenge. Just 5 days away. In fact, you have till Thursday at 5 p.m. We'll be back in action on Thursday. 5 p.m. on Thursday, just after our card ends. So you'll make some money and you'll put the $500 up. Most of it goes towards the live money. You can play it online. You can play it on track, but you can play it through Naira Bets now. Head over to Naira.com/challenge for more information. As promised, David Aragona is here. You ready to tackle another 10-race card here?
Ready to go. Yesterday's card was pretty fun. You had plenty of good opinions yesterday, so hopefully keep it up.
Hopefully one of us will have some good opinions today. These
I had no
cards
good opinions.
Well, it's tricky, and we do need to talk quickly about the racetrack. We've seen a situation, particularly the last 2 days, where making outside moves in the turf was tough, and the only horses that did it successfully are ones that were able to do it late after saving ground for almost the entire race. You need to be on the rail for a significant portion on both turf courses.
Yeah, I mean, obviously saving ground on the turf is always important, and it's just pronounced when you have the rail be a bias situation. And I mean, Joel Rosario just seems to be taking advantage of it and cleaning up because he always rides that way. He always likes to save ground on the turf courses, and it's just really playing to his style. And he gave some masterful rides on Saturday and again yesterday.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's hard. Listen, I mean, it's hard too. It doesn't matter who you are. Every jockey can be aware of it. Everybody can't get to the rail, and that's what happens when you have these weird biases. We used to see it sometimes on the inner when you'd get these strong inside biases and you'd have a big field going 2 turns. Everybody can't thread the needle.
No.
And then sometimes you get these weird races where you get these fast paces and these meltdown scenarios because everybody's trying to do the right thing, and it sort of blows the race up. We'll see how that progresses, and we'll see if rails come up for next week. I don't know what they tend to do. And also the main track, and you had talked about it with me as well and mentioned kickback because it had been colder, now it's warmer. So it shouldn't be an issue in watering the track, but that track was very difficult for horses to make up ground, especially inside of horses.
Difficult. It was also kind of slow and dead. We saw some big gaps between horses crossing the wires in a lot of these races, some slow come-home times. So it doesn't hurt to have speed, definitely on the dirt.
And the fastest horse is called Communicator.
Yeah, Communicator.
That Communicator in the 3rd race, the maiden winner for the Brad Cox barn, got a 95 buyer.
Have to accelerate.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that, but it's pretty impressive. That horse was good yesterday. And Network Effect, just giving it some sort of balance, got a 91 buyer, and he's a very, very talented stakes quality horse and Communicator. One we'll look forward to seeing, probably not here during the winter for Brad Cox, but I imagine they'll be looking to get through a non-winners of 1 with him, and then maybe if things go well, move on to stakes, because that was a devastatingly strong performance. That was maybe the performance of the entire weekend.
Some horses didn't show up, but he beat them like a drum.
No, they didn't show up, but they also were in the wake of a horse that was running almost a stakes quality maiden. We see some good maidens. Race number 1, and I think it's important to talk about the bias, and that's one of the reasons that you have the number 1. You want to take a shot at it?
Jabuticaba?
Jabuticaba.
I looked it up. It's a Brazilian tree that grows like these grape-like fruits.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks to be the speed. I took the one he'll be stalking outside of it, the number 2, Rosebud's Hope. Hopefully can find some way to save some ground behind her, but you do have the inside speed, and it's hard to knock that, especially at a price.
Yeah, there is some pace in this race. Not that we're predicting a fast pace, but Jabuticaba and Rosebud's Hope, I mean, one of them is going to get the lead. I think they're going to play the break and see. Jabuticaba obviously has the advantage of drawing the rail, so you'd think that Heavy on Toledo would go with her. He's ridden her before ridden her aggressively. She did show 2 back that she can stalk and be successful. We'll see if that's the case over this turf course. To me, she just feels like a 3-year-old filly facing olders that's really improving at the end of the season. Nay Lady Nay, who beat her last time for Chad Brown, she's a good filly who's really stepping forward now. If she repeats either of her last 2 efforts, I think this filly is going to be tough in here.
Yeah, and the Chad Brown horse that beat her, it was second to Christophe Clement's horse that's back on Friday or Friday, I think Friday's card that looks an interesting, a 2-for-2 horse. I just thought Rosebud's Hope might be the better of the 2 horses and had the speed with Joel. And obviously I caught up in that duel with Dream Passage, who's some horse when they're actually aggressive with her.
Yes.
It's sort of hard to believe they rated her in Saratoga. Nothing clever. I mean, they look like the 2 logical speeds, but Arch of Troy is the horse to beat. Let's.
Her race 2 back will beat this field probably.
Right, and we have a race 2 back. Now, I will say one thing about a race 2 back. This was an odd race that just completely collapsed. This was like a real accordion meltdown type race. But they beat Wish Upon, who came back with a second in the final Philly stake at Ticonderoga, is it? Or the one on New York Bred Showcase Day, second behind the mighty 55. And she had a good trip that day, but still, she is the horse to beat. I don't want to be too much of a wise guy with our horses.
It's also worth noting that her main rival this day, Dream Passage, just got a nightmare trip and didn't have a chance to really show what she could do. Yeah, so I mean, you see that she was 4-1 in the form. She would have been a much shorter price knowing that Dream Passage wasn't going to participate in that race, basically. And then last time out, I know that Arch of Troy was facing a much tougher field. She just did no running, though, because that was an extremely slow pace, and she still backed up to last.
Yeah, that concerned me. I agree. Her last race, she wasn't going to win, but she could have finished 4th, beaten a couple of lengths, beaten 3 lengths, and finished, sort of just behind horses like Reverse Decision, who's also back in that race with the Christophe Clement horse. Race number 2. Let me ask you a question about race number 2.
Yeah.
Could you see anything about quantum computing, other than now being claimed by Danny Gargan, but it wasn't Chad Brown horse, that you're supposed to like about this horse? I thought that Javier, I know this horse hit the gate at the start, and that's fair. This horse did. But Javier rode this horse the entire race, and he never did any running.
She took money. She was the favorite that day, and
Chad Brown.
Yeah, it was the Chad Brown factor because there really, I remember that race. There really weren't any stories about the firsters. The winner was actually a Michael Dubb, Owen Todd Pletcher trade. First-time starter was 7-1. The one thing I'll say about that race is that might have been an unusually strong maiden 75 because the winner got a decent figure. The runner-up came back and validated the number.
She validated it. She didn't improve it. She ran one worse.
It's already a fast race for the level. So maybe, because based on the speed figure she got, it's not like she's out of this.
No,
She just probably has to improve a little bit.
Right. Now, we both like Money Never Sleeps, though.
Yeah, you didn't send the replay, right?
I did not send the replay. I didn't.
This is actually a horse that I highlighted when I do that Horses to Watch series on DRF TV, where I look at some trips that horses got in their debuts. She just seemed really green first time out for Todd Pletcher. She was actually a little closer when they broke from the gate, chasing in that first flight, and then she took some kickback and immediately dropped way out the back of the field. Looked like she was going to get nothing coming to the top of the stretch. She actually started running again in the last eighth of a mile, was passing horses quickly across the wire, galloped out well. Just seemed like one that needed her debut, and I think Todd Pletcher's being realistic. She's nothing special, but she's probably at the right level racing for 75.
And she's a homebred. Yeah. She's a homebred. I agree. If somebody really wants to claim her for 75, they're really going to take this horse for 75. I don't know. It is
there's that stat for Todd Pletcher where he's just has fantastic numbers, maiden special weight to maiden claiming droppers.
He is very good with it. He is better. I think he's actually overall he's just good.
Yeah, I broke them out by routes and sprints. They're still
routes
good.
Are better.
Older
routes
horses and 2-year-olds. Yeah, 2-year-olds are a little bit weaker, but still, it's just a strong stat across the board.
And I couldn't really find anybody that interests me that much. We both have the 5 Mariposa Doro in there, but Mike Stidham doesn't have good numbers with his maiden claiming first-time starters in the dirt.
It's really more of a turf pedigree on the dam side, although the workouts at Monmouth seem like they're pretty strong. So we'll see.
3 decent turf horses. In the
yeah, it's not necessarily a negative negative that she's debuting for 75 because she only sold for 50 as a yearling, so we'll see.
And neither one of us has the one customer experience. The first are for Chad Brown and Clara. It's interesting they have the one in there, and of course quantum computing. I don't know anything about this horse, the first foal. They paid a lot for this horse, the weanling, despite a dam that did no running whatsoever.
Yeah, the Cairo Princess have been best on turf. There's a little turf on the dam side as well, and
But
Chad
they're
Brown.
not running the turf.
Yeah, they're not. And Chad Brown, overall, first-time starters with 2-year-olds, maiden claimers on the dirt. He's just 2 for 14, so.
We'll see what happens
for
in
me.
race number 2. Race number 3, I think we ended up in the same place in here, and we talked about it a bit yesterday. One of the things is neither one of us is thrilled with this horse, Business Cycle, who is moving now out of the non-winners of 2 and non-winners of 3 lifetime horses. And he may not be meeting any killers here, and I don't think either one of us are going to tell you that he can't win the race, but Chad Brown gave up on this horse. Interesting, you know, you see him drop to 16 in Saratoga. It's like they're trying to win a race. Well, maybe they knew what the value of this horse was, and he's been offered for less in 2 of his subsequent starts. This is where he belongs, but now he's meeting winners, and these are the kind of horses that take too much money in these races.
He's a horse that definitely has serious issues. He didn't debut until the very end of his 4-year-old season. I mean, he had 1 start coming into his 5-year-old season. He's a horse that's been difficult to keep on the track. He's always trained exceptionally well. I mean, the workout reports on this horse are always just stellar. He trains really well with some nice horses in Chad Brown's barn, but he just doesn't do it in the afternoon. And I think his recent
Well, he did it at the beginning of his career.
He did at the beginning of his career, but obviously Chad saw that he was tailing off, and he placed him in a realistic spot. I mean, I know he's won 2 of his last 3 starts, and that makes him look appealing in a race where a lot of horses have just lost a bunch of races. But, I mean, he barely beat Take It to Scale and Mandatory Payout. And what prices would they be in this race?
I completely agree. I think you have a pace projector for this race, and
Yeah.
it is an important factor in this race because there really is no speed, and that's going to help data-driven. But I've got him 3rd. I'm not going to be shocked if he somehow wins, but my gosh, has he been terrible. Yesterday's track would help his running style, but he has been brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they made a great claim when they got him for 12.5 off that 101 buyer 3-back. And, I mean, he's just been a shadow of his former self since then, not even getting back to the form prior to earning that 101 buyer.
Where does that race
just
come
completely
from?
fallen apart. It's really bizarre. They're dropping back down to the level for which he was claimed, but I have no faith that he's going to get back to anything close to that performance. And even though he's got a pace advantage, I couldn't take him.
He was dropped down to 12.5 to lose him,
Yep.
and ran a race that would have won a non-winners of whatever you want lifetime. And it's very bizarre. And then he just cannot run a step. Obviously, our horse is a bit pace compromised, and he's going to have a problem on yesterday's racetrack. But I think we both saw the same thing about the number 4 Orpheus. We talked about it yesterday. He just consistently runs faster than these horses. He's more reliable.
This race is full of horses that you just can't trust. I mean, including Gypsum Johnny, who we didn't really talk about.
Linda Rice has terrible numbers
Yep.
for dropping 50% or more in tax. Not high percentage, but a terrible ROI.
Another one that seemed like a good claim because she has had success with this horse before, but it just hasn't panned out, and he's been really sluggish in his early going into his races, and that does not bode well for his chances in this paceless race. And Orpheus, he too doesn't have any early speed, but he's shown the ability before, including last time, to close into paces that are pretty moderate, and he just seems to run the same speed figure in every race. He never takes a lot of money. He's not going to again today because Mike Luzzie's aboard, and they just don't bet horses he's riding, even though he's able to ride a winner certainly. And I just think Orpheus makes the most sense.
Yeah, the only problem with Orpheus is he has 1 for 25 over the last
Yes.
2 years. That is a bit of a problem with him, and that worries me. But I agree. I looked long and hard at this race and eventually just thought, you know what, maybe he's just the best horse. Race number 4. This is another one where we land on the same horses, and I want to talk about the Cartwheel and Lulu and Starlight Mission race because this was a day when the rail was very good, I thought. And Cartwheel and Lulu really did have the best of it in here. And I'm not saying Starlight Mission had a bad trip in here because she was too wide before angling out, but it was tough to run down horses in the inside. Cartwheel and Lulu still didn't get it done, and I thought this horse, Starlight Mission, ran very well in here to be 3rd, given the racetrack and the dynamics of the race. And at the end of the day, Cartwheel Lulu has to deal with Play Me a Memory today at the very least. So it feels like the pace is going to be tough for her. The least she'll deal with her, if not, let me take this call.
First forever, too.
First forever.
She's got to go. That's the way she runs. Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult task for Cartwheel and Lulu to wire this field. And I've also just never thought she was that good. She's never really earned a speed figure that makes her that formidable here, even though she's achieved some success in terms of wins.
But Gary Gola does have terrific numbers off the claim.
Yeah.
I mean,
getting this horse
numbers.
from Linda Rice, but yes.
I know. No, I know. He claimed from Linda, and that's not easy, but he has great numbers off the claim.
Starlight Mission, I agree with everything you said about the last race. Not an ideal trip, not a terrible trip, but she's changed hands a few times over the past year, and this is by far the best claiming barn that she's been in during that time. So it's just a big step up for her, and she's supposed to take a step forward moving to Rudy. She's going to get some pace to close into. I just think she makes a lot of sense in this race.
Off the claim on the dirt at Aqueduct over the last 5 years, Rudy Rodriguez is 68 for 168. That's 40%. With a 245 ROI.
This is where he really does some damage at Aqueduct. He lays low at Saratoga some years, but Aqueduct is where he really kicks it up a notch with the claims, and she just seems like she's a horse with bad class. It's not like he's got to improve her at all to beat this field.
You've got Bertranda second. I have Orchid Party second. I don't know what to do with Bertranda. I'm not her biggest fan, but I guess she can win.
Yeah, I mean, the last time that she ran at this level, she was second to my Roxy Girl, who's really improved, and she's just been over her head at that non-winners of two other than level recently, and this barn certainly can get a horse in form. And I know her last race was poor, but that was a much tougher field, and she's just getting the class relief she needs.
How about our Supernova yesterday? As far as my goofy second pick in Orchid Party, she's another one that has been running way over her head. What chance did she have in some of these races she's been in recently? And I think if you start looking at her and you go back, the last time she was in even a moderate spot, the Wadley Princess off the turf race, she ran fine there. And I thought maybe she's finally getting some class relief and running against some horses she'd have a chance with. And she's a price in a race where I feel like there's going to be some pace, and there just weren't an awful lot of horses I wanted in here.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with her. To me, she just looks a little slow overall, even when she's in form.
Yeah,
so I just wasn't sure. I mean, the horse that it scares me a little bit is Play Me a Memory.
I agree.
Because she's got back races that would make her really tough in here. And it seems like she's gotten back into some semblance of good form since the switch to Tyler Service. So we'll see.
I agree. Tyler Service is John Service or Jason Service?
John Service's
John Service son?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I think it's his first starter in New York.
It might be.
I think it probably is. We wish him luck. No, I agree. She's a horse that I tried back in the spring at Belmont, and she didn't run badly in there, actually, but kind of refound some of the form. At one time, she was very good. Who had her? Somebody else had her.
Ramon Martin?
Yeah, that sounds right. Race number 5. It's a question in race number 5 of experience and first-time starters. I went to experience near with Jack of Clubs, who I don't think ran badly last time, was chasing 2 to 3 wide on a day where I thought you really wanted to be on the rail, and Prince of Pharaohs really ran, going a mile, and maybe Kelsey Danner's being smart and just turning this horse back in distance. Maybe the horse wants less distance. You know me. I like a turn back. I think the horse could be somewhat forward in here depending on the firsters, but there's probably firsters with speed because there are interesting-looking firsters. I'm going to take this horse, though, with experience.
Yeah, we'll see. Pedigree says longer by Curlin, but that doesn't always have to be true. So he's faded in both starts. His debut was very good, I thought. I didn't love his last race, even though he might have been somewhat against the track.
I think he was.
I went to the firsters. I thought there were some really intriguing-looking ones in here.
No doubt. I mean, we saw the same 3 horses. Yeah. You'll talk about Noble Endeavor.
Yeah, Noble Endeavor is shipping in from Parks for Butch Reed off an impressive series of workouts. I mean, you don't always see workouts like this coming from Parks. I wonder, too, back if he worked in company with this barn's other horse, Project Whiskey, who I think we saw run here one time over the summer at Saratoga. This horse is a stakes winner now because this horse is also earning a fast workout on the tab. This guy was faster, though. We'll see. I watched this horse's sales work at the Facing-Tipton sale back in May. Looked like a really big gray son of Greydar, just an imposing-looking horse. The second dam is Missy's Mirage, so there's real class in this female family. I thought this one might be able to run a little bit.
I think of Classy Mirage. I mean, I get them confused. Mrs. Mirage and Classy Mirage.
Yeah.
They're both Jerkins horses, and they're both
They were sisters, I think.
They were New Jersey breds. I'm sure one of them was a New Jersey bred, like Classy Missy Mirage.
Missy's Mirage won the Hempstead, earned $800,000, I think.
They were very good.
They were both very good.
One of them debuted, it might have been Missy, in an allowance race down at Hialeah, I believe, with Katie Sweeney. And was like 8-1 and lost and finished second. One of the two, and I think it was Missy's Mirage. Someone will text me.
Horses
or say
that got
on
good
Twitter.
later in their careers, I believe.
Yeah.
I was like,
Now, one of them was running, and I think it was Classy in the Honorable Miss at Saratoga, and Julie Crone rode her. And I can remember I was standing by the replay center in the clubhouse at Saratoga, and I saw the two of them, the Chief and Julie, walking back from the racetrack, and an incredible pair, right? Because Julie makes us look tall, and the Chief is this huge, guy, and Julie's walking in front of him, and the Chief is behind her, ranting, screaming and throwing his hands around and doing all those things that made him so great. And I looked over, and Julie actually caught my eye, and she just sort of rolled her eyes at him, and I saw her later, and I said, "What was the chief yelling at you about?" And she said, because she was like on the lead, sort of towards the inside, 2 or 3 off the rail, let's say. And Roman Rachel was this deep closer for Shug, who's a really good horse. And she closed like way in the middle of the track. And Julie said, the chief said that I should have come out like 6 paths and gotten into her way, or some whole thing. And she's like, it's just like, there's no stopping him at any point, when he was going on. It was really funny. I always remember that. And I think of that when I think of Classy and Missy Mirage. One of them was favored against Inside Information, I think, in maybe the Ballerina, one of those races. Too. Wow. Yeah, and didn't win. Inside Information won. Anyhow, we digress. Also, the 9 is an interesting
Bourbon Day. The dam was actually pretty precocious. She looked like she was going to be a good runner at one point, winning her first couple of starts. Didn't ultimately go on. But this one's a Byron. We've seen some Byrons run. This one also also sold for a lot of money, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I thought that horse was dangerous from Mark Hennig, because really, Mark has had a tremendous, a quiet Saratoga, but he had a great Belmont meet. And you saw those, and he came back with Median winning the Tempted. And I think Median has a right to be one of the ones in the 2-year-old fillies we've seen.
Definitely should have no problem with the mile on 8th, the Demoiselle, because she seems like one that wants to run all day.
I'm really curious to see what she does, because we've talked about that time came up relatively slowly, and it just doesn't feel like that kind of race. We'll see. An interesting 5th. Race number 6 in a mile and 16th, I think I could still be handicapping.
Yeah.
I think this would have been a good card if you were stuck in you had like a weekend and you weren't allowed out of your apartment to go through, because I could look at this race forever and ever and not know what to do. I want to talk to you a bit about Uncle Curly and start with him, even though he's not the favorite in here, but he's going to take one. Maybe you have one of the favorites. I thought this is just the wrong sort of trip. I don't blame the jockey in any respect. I think Irad just got stuck inside with this horse, and these are not the kind of trips you want. But then you've got a New York bred that Christophe is dumping in a claiming race right after it, and I don't like that. And you'll show some stats, I think, up for Christophe. I do think, though, he was buried in there.
Yeah. Some things went right, some things went wrong. He got pace to close into, and horses did close from the back of the pack and do well here, but they did so making outside runs. And he never really had to totally stop, but he had to weave through traffic inside, and that's not ideal. I don't think he was going to finish in the trifecta, but he probably would have been 4th.
Yeah, I think he would have run better in there. Dropping. Christophe's on a big run, though, with his first-time starters. This feels like it's going to be winter. He's going to be a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Time to move on.
This horse has missed a lot of time. It looked like one time like he was going to be a good horse. He disappointed badly in that maiden race at Aqueduct back in the spring. He missed the entire summer for some reason, so there might be some holes in this horse.
Yeah, I'm not going to be shocked if he wins this race. He's one of the ones in here. The thing is, Willing to Speed is probably the horse to beat. He's one of these horses, though. His recent form, his figs make him the horse to beat. But last time he's done any running?
Yeah. Something we talked about recently is when you've got a horse that's in form, you've got to strike while the iron's hot. And this horse just never was able to get the victory when he was in top form. And it feels like maybe it's just struck midnight for him, because I know that his last 2 races came within a span of 7 days of each other, and maybe turning around in a week last time was really detrimental, but he just had absolutely nothing in that race. And even his race 2 back was really disappointing, because that was not the strongest field by any means.
I agree.
And he looked like he was taking a dropping class, and he just got a good trip and had no run. I know he's getting a rider switch to Irad Ortiz today, and he's going to take money because of that. I do not trust this horse.
Yeah, he could absolutely win. With Tricky Magician, who's a little similar, I will say with Tricky Magician, I don't like horses that get the kind of trips he got last time. Just sort of hung out wide the whole way, never with any cover, always just sort of grinding away on the outside, never in a position where he was relaxing and getting his breath and getting ready to make a run. You need horses in the turf that are in some position to have a burst. Either they're controlling up front or they get that chance of a burst, and he didn't. And I'd like to see, and I know the speeds are towards the outside. I don't agree with the pace projector. Do we have a pace projector for this race?
I think
I have a hard time seeing Solar on an all-out send. I do think Portos will go, but maybe Eric will go and hope that Portos doesn't. But I think Joel Rosario is going to go with Tricky Magician, and he's going to go to try to get position. I'm not saying he's going to be in front, but I think you're going to see Joel be aggressive with this horse early to at least get position, because he was so badly out of position last time. So that's what I was hoping for. And this was before I assumed we had a track with this. And listen, it's very hard to go into days, assuming you're going to have biases, because they can and will change. You'd think it wouldn't on the turf, but it could. I don't really know. I think and hope the horse gets positioned, but I'm not overly confident.
I gave him a long look. I don't love his recent form, but I saw the things you did about his last race. It might be better than it seems. We'll see. I'll include him somewhere.
I don't trust him either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking a shot with an even crazier horse in Fairy Link, who's
my 5th pick.
Filly facing the boys here. Not that matters much to me. She is a horse that at one time was pretty good. Maybe it was, I mean, she was good for a while. She beat that Chad Brown horse as a 2-year-old, and when she broke her maiden.
She looked like she was going to be a good horse.
Yeah, then she went on and wasn't really competitive in some tougher nominators of 1 races, but she ran by her speed figures that would make her really tough against this field. Something went wrong because she was off for a long time. She was in really poor form for a while. There was even a claim that was voided on her at one point. Something was amiss with her, but her last 2 starts have really, her form is going back in the right direction. 2 back, she didn't get the best trip, kind of got stuck inside. Last time out, again, I thought she was a little bit buried inside, trying to move up the rail late, splitting horses at the end. She's steadily been taking steps in the right direction. Kendrick Carmouche, I mean, he's definitely aware of how the track is playing, so he's going to get her right on the rail most likely, hoping she gets the right trip.
I can't argue with it. I gave her a long look. She had some trouble. I wish she had finished a little better last time, and I wonder if she gets better with more distance a little bit.
She's got to improve.
But she does have races. She has a chance. Mr. Vincent, don't love him, but, you know, just thought the horse had a little bit of a chance to maybe improve at the last, but I put the horse 4th. But I'm with you. We'll see what happens. This is a very, very tricky race. Race number 7. Race number 7 should be, they should teach a class of handicapping in race number 7. You could have like 2 classes going through this race.
I feel like if you get through the first 2 legs of the late pick 5, you deserve some sort of consolation prize because it's so tough.
Right. Maybe the favorites will win these 2 races, but this is a race. I don't even like the horse you like, okay? So you like the 2. I think the 4 can win, the 5 can win, the 6 can win, the 7 can win, the 8 can win, the 9 can win, the plain 1 can win, the 10 can win. Yeah, I basically got the entire field open. I mean, this got to the point with this race, I was so tired of looking at it, I find it interesting, but it was sort of like, I'm going nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to put some picks down. I realized, geez, I don't even have, like, Clyde's runner in here, who I feel like can win, but you can only have 4 in your top 4. This is a crazy race.
I guess you could start with Wild One Forever, because the one thing you could say about this race is there's not a ton of speed.
Let's show the race where Lundqvist beat him last time out.
Yes, and this was a faster pace. He's probably going to get to go a little bit slower on the front end today because there's not a really quick horse like Tenure in this field. I don't love this horse's form overall.
I agree.
I don't know how good he really is. I don't know if he really wants to go the 6 furlongs, even though he beat a pretty pitiful field 2 back. But he's got the speed that's going to make him dangerous over this turf course.
Yeah, on this turf course, he is a huge, huge player. I would have moved him up on this course. I do like Lundqvist, who was able to close into 2nd in this race and beat Wild and Forever despite not getting much pace. Last time, he's not a miler. The time before that, I thought he ran well behind Fooch and Tenure when there was no pace in there either. And I thought he's been running better. He's going to have trouble, though, on the turf course we've seen over the last couple of days. I put him on top.
He was one of the ones I had to leave out. They just have to make some decisions.
Well, you do have a horse that likes to run inside, that's for sure, because Honeymoon 1 came right up the rail. It's not an easy thing to do.
Ultimately, I said to myself, this race is probably going to be won because of trips, because they all look so evenly matched, and Honey Won't drew the rail, drew a rider that's going to keep him on the rail. Joe Rosario has just been making the difference in these turf races.
You know that I've been winning with these Joel horses, and you're going to pick one,
Yeah.
and he's just going to get like a brutal trip.
Of course, that's the way it's got to go.
Not going to be happy.
Yes, your luck has to run out at some point.
Well, I didn't pick him.
What I'll say about
my luck will definitely run out at some point. That's
if he
for
wins,
sure. Very soon.
I don't love his last race. I don't think you can really spin it and say that he ran better than he did.
He ran awful. He beat a terrible field. Nobody's come back out of that race and run a step. It was a bad field going in. It totally collapsed, and he was incredibly lucky.
Well, let me say this. If his last race wasn't showing, he'd be somewhat interesting off his prior 2 races because he was facing tougher nominators of 1 allowance fields, 2 and 3 back. He didn't lose by that much 2 back by Neverland Rock. I know he's improved a lot since, but that was a decent field. And then he was in that track record performance 2 back, and he didn't run badly that day. So he's got form that I think makes him more interesting than that last race would indicate.
And it's not his fault that No Regrets has fallen off the map.
No.
No Regrets just can't run anymore.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he has nothing. Okay, listen, he's going to stay inside. The interesting horse that you left out, too, that I put 2nd, and I said to you, I know this is a horse that you've looked at and want to play, is the 4 Hurricane Hill. Because Hurricane Hill's turf debut was actually not bad. That race was dominated in the front end. This horse dropped out like sharply after the start, was saving ground, but then angled 3 wide and ran out in the middle of the track. And the only horse that made up any significant ground in that race. Now, Linda decided to go and try synthetic races, and she did okay with the horse, but I'm not sure you don't want to take a chance with this horse in a turf sprint, and Linda is. It's just going to be tough for this horse to win, especially in this track.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this horse. It's not like he really stepped forward at all at Presque Isle Downs against some inferior competition, so...
Look, he's a turf horse.
Yeah, he might be a turf horse. He obviously can do better than the debut, but he's got to improve.
And that fig in that first race,
I don't know. It's tough. Horses improved out of it
ran much better.
Yeah, they improved out of it going longer, so I don't know what that means.
Smile Brian the 8. I mean, this horse is good enough to win this race in the dirt, and this is really a turf pedigree. And hasn't Golden Sense had some success as a turf sire?
He's been a decent turf sire. I think he's winning at something like 18% with turf starters. And also, his last race at Keeneland's not as bad as it seems because he was stuck down on the rail by Joe Bravo, and you just didn't want to be on the rail at Keeneland on the dirt at this entire meet. So he's interesting in this race. I didn't want to pick a first-time turfer in this spot, but I'll use him somewhere.
And you've got Duress in there. I want to see that race again to believe it. I don't believe the fig, but you're going to be optimistic.
I don't believe the fig either, but he did look very good in victory, and he won it with greater ease than that 1-length margin would indicate. So we'll see.
And Mad Monies. I mean, I want to talk about these horses because Mad Monies can win this race. A horse we both left out, the 9.
It's a big price.
I mean, he's been running against better horses in his race. I mean, I know the race is falling apart at the end 2 back, but Banana Thief.
Yeah, it looks like he's moving up in class because he's going to Allowance Company, but it's actually not.
He's dropping.
Yeah.
I mean, Endplay almost beat Lawn Twist the other day. Mohican's got turf sprints, and Rudy Rodriguez has terrible numbers off the claim with dirt routers. He's got good numbers off the claim with limited stars with turf sprinters.
Yeah, that's interesting. His turf race 3 back makes him a player.
And even Clyde's Runner has a chance to win this race. This is crazy. It is a tough post, and trips, like you say, trips are going to really matter in this race, and obviously the course condition. And I'm almost sorry this is a race that'll probably be affected by the course condition because this is a fascinating race. Yeah. Race number 8. Race number 8's a good one, 1 mile and 1/8. I mean, you can get a 1 mile and 1/8 2-year-old race at this point and have it be sort of an eyesore. I don't agree. Let's talk about the race that so many of these horses come out of. Topaz, Mischief Afoot, Hard Sting, Vintage Print. I decided, though I like Topaz like you do, that Vintage Print ran to me like a horse that needed his first race.
Yes.
I know I'm always pitching these OXO horses, and it's worked out well for me in general. I think this horse is going to run better today, and I think you're going to see a much better performance from. This is not Chad Brown told me he thinks the horse is going to run better. I think this horse is going to run better in his second start.
And I'll just say, he's been wearing blinkers in his workout since this race, and I watched a couple of them on XBTV, and it looks like he's more in the bridle, and he's going to take a step forward out of this race. So I'm not going to be shocked if he does improve. Of the other horses, I did think that Topaz ran a sneaky good race because he was sort of off a little bit awkwardly from the rail, which is a difficult place to break from in these mile races, especially in a big field like that. He was towards the back of the pack, and it looked like Channing Hill just got a little bit overeager and put him into briefly put him into a drive before they even got to the half-mile pole to sort of move up around horses. Then he sort of had to pause when he was moving too quickly at that point. Was sort of in no man's land for a good portion of the turn. Didn't change leads at the top of the stretch. This is a horse that has trained well in the mornings, hasn't put it all together yet in the afternoon, but I think there's talent here.
Today is the day he's supposed to put it together. I agree. They're the ones. Listen, I don't want to knock the 2 Mischief Afoot, we both have 4th, because he ran well in that race.
He did.
I'm not convinced he can't run in there. You have Portos. Let's show Portos race at Keeneland. To me, these are better horses that Portos is running against today. He just looks like a plodding grinder.
I think I tweeted after this race, this is going to be everyone's Belmont horse, Portos, because he's just this horse that looks like he wants to go 1.5 miles. He's really goofy. We probably haven't seen the best of him yet. He doesn't really know what he's doing out there, but he seems like he wants to run all day, so the 1 mile and 1/8 is going to be perfect for him.
He's got no kick, this horse. He just
one paced. He's got to get faster.
Right, and this is not the kind of race where he's going to win by attrition. There are too many, it seems, talented enough horses. I didn't really want him here. I did throw Country Grammar in here. It's unusual to see Chad Brown make this move and go turf to dirt. I don't think this horse ran terribly in that slow-paced race last time. And you don't see Chad Brown do this move a lot, so I wonder if it's kind of a sneaky
I wrote
move.
it, turf to schedule dirt races in Maidens, second-time starters. It's 1 for 12 with a short-priced winner. So.
All the winners, he's got a lot of winners, but they're all off the turf races.
Yes.
I agree. Listen, listen, I wish the 10 Jewel Stone had a better post and came out of a better race, but Shug is great stretching horses out.
I'll be looking for Jewel Stone probably at Gulfstream when Shug tries the turf with him because he's
Wow.
got a big turf pedigree.
Well, I had more love for Hessenite than Hessenite might be one of my all-time favorite. Remember Hessenite won? I believe it was Hessenite that won in a boggy turf course on closing day
At
here
Aqueduct.
back about 7 years ago. I was in.
Was that her turf debut? It might have been.
No,
second
she had
time?
had a big trip in like one, not in like the Miss Grillo, I think, but in like a Chelsea Flower type race. And
right.
I had flown back in from Nebraska, and I remember thinking, oh, could they leave it on? It's the last day, and they left on. Ramon just got up with her. Ramon rode her. She'd been like 740.
Yeah.
She turned into a monster. I thought I had read that she was sold to Japanese interests. I thought I remember reading that, but apparently got a horse here. But no, I agree. I was excited when Hessenite was there. Race number 9. Well, David can't control himself. He just loves Out of Trouble. You really should go down the paddock and pet Out of Trouble. I'm sure they'd let you pet her. I mean, you love Out of Trouble. The fact that you're picking Out of Trouble out of this race against Classic Lady and Dynamite Kitten, and she does have the rail today. Yeah. But my God, I mean, the Red Sea's parted for her.
She
in this
got a
race.
Good trip, but
she got a great trip.
She projects to get another good trip, doesn't she? She's going to be sitting in behind the speeds.
You just love her. You love her.
I mean, you can't
admit it.
I do love her. She's
well,
one of my
the thing
favorites,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
She's a horse that has really taken a step forward. We talked about her, I think, at Saratoga back, that she's a horse that really had to refine her form, but she could compete at this level if she did. And she's refound her form, and she's proven that she's not a horse that needs the lead, whereas in the past she was that kind of runner.
She's not getting the lead here.
Yeah, I mean, she even ran well behind Dream Pass's 3-back. Her race 2-back, I mean, last time rather, at the open level is not bad at all. She didn't get bad. Yeah, she didn't get the easiest trip that day, and she was still hanging with those horses.
Yeah, but you wanted to be
end.
outside on that Widener that day.
Yeah, that's true. But I just think she's going to get another good trip.
All right, I'm not going to argue, because the thing about Classic Lady and Dynamite Kitten is they're just running out of chances. They just aren't winning type horses. But
Classic Lady in particular has been in a number of spots where she was supposed to win. And
she was forced out.
Her trips have not been ideal. She's lost some ground in her races, but I mean,
did she really run worse than Out of Trouble last time? No. I'm getting sick of her as well. And when she won, she had a perfect setup. And I bet her a lot of money on her that day back here in April when she had, I mean, you could lose by a nose and be annoyed. I was annoyed at her because she should have gone by and won that race by 2 lengths. It was an embarrassing nose loss. And she got everything her own way in that setup race where Dynamite Kitten was involved in the wicked pace. And Dynamite Kitten, but is Dynamite Kitten kind of tailing off a little bit?
Also, Dynamite Kitten, I mean, she'll be the biggest price of these three. And so maybe she's appealing from that perspective because I don't think that she's that much slower than either of those other two, but the trip worries me with her because she's this bigger filly that doesn't seem to want to run inside of horses, and if they try to just make this 3-wide stalking trip with her, it's probably not going to be successful.
Or a 10-wide stalking trip, like
or she did, when she ran here back in April. Yeah, I just have trouble seeing her working out the right trip to win this race, but she's good enough.
I'm embarrassed for you that you don't have Circe in your top 4. No, this is an embarrassing
I have a thing against Circe.
How you can leave horses out that survive meltdowns. This performance by Circe
was a crazy performance.
Unbelievable. This pace was insane. I mean, they went 45 flat on a turf with significant give in it, and she didn't stop running until like the 8th pole. I mean, this was an unbelievable performance by her. It completely set the race up. The horse that won, who I bet, she was 6 lengths behind the second to last horse. This was a classic meltdown and a horse who did a respectable job of surviving it. Now, I picked her before the turf had been kind to her running style. I don't know if she's good enough. I don't disagree. This is a huge jump up in class for her. But she's going to the front, and I am not going to, I just decided this race, I just didn't want to pick anybody. I didn't want to pick Classic Lady at a short price. I just didn't want to do it, and I thought, you know what? How can I not take a horse going to be 10-1 that almost survived the meltdown last time? So I put her on top. I don't have any great confidence in her, but I know she's just a horse I have to pick.
I was laughing at that replay because Pablo Fragoso had her under the whip at like the 5/16th pole, and she kept running. She's been
Look where the other speed horses in that race finished, by the way.
She's been in very good form in her last couple of starts. She even ran really well 2-back. I mean,
she really did.
Yeah,
I mean, it cost you a lot of money.
I've got a grudge against her because of that.
No, I get it. It was a frustrating beat, but the thing about it is, you had to feel almost a little bit better after her next start because it wasn't a total fluke. After her next start, you said, She ran.
My problem with her in this race is, and she's a price, so I don't want to knock her too much, but you've got Kendrick on VIP Nation from Post 2.
This horse is going. Kendrick's not getting in Pablo Fragoso's way.
But he's going to try to go, because that's how VIP Nation runs. He's not going to rate her. He's going to try to go. And you've even got Short Port, who's not slow, and Jose Ortiz rode her aggressively 2-back, so we'll see what happens with the pace, but it could heat up.
This race, I agree. This race gave me a gigantic headache. And David just loves Out of Trouble.
I do.
Are you staying enough today to go out in the paddock to see her?
Maybe. We'll see.
Because if you do, you
incentive
should get a picture and put it up on Twitter of you and your favorite horse, Out of Trouble. She's one of your favorite pets. The 10th race is a funny race, and we'll show Pink Floyd back in July at Saratoga running third, and if she runs this race, she's going to win. The problem is you've got two horses, Pink Floyd and Sandra's Mine, who are the two horses to beat. You've got a negative stat for Tom Bush. They may not have the best running style for this race, but they have found the right field.
They have. That's an interesting replay.
That's from the other day. It's from like Thursday.
Yeah. Plink Freud really doesn't have any early speed, so she's going to have to get the right setup in here. She's also got a little bit of hang in her because she's been in some better spots and hasn't really gotten it done. We'll see if Sandra's Mine's as effective turning back. I'm not really convinced.
I agree.
I don't know which one I like more, honestly. I put Sandra's Mine ahead of Plink Freud, but they're both somewhat interesting.
But she'll be a better price than
I don't love this stat. They're probably the first and second choices. I just wanted to look elsewhere.
You've got a horse that I have fourth that's going to have a tough road to hoe based on the racetrack we've seen the last couple of days.
The trip is going to be tough to work out for Pendolino. She goes in one post to post 13. I don't know if that's going to help at all.
She's had excuses.
Her turf races are better than they seem, especially 3-back when, Lead Guitar is basically an open company horse that was running in New York bred races, and Pendolino was sort of held up in traffic on the turn, was really running at the end of that race when she got clear. Then 2-back, she just didn't have any pace to close into in a race that was wired on the front end. Again, she had a little bit of trouble early and was just too far back. Maybe it's a problem again with the pace, but there is a little bit of speed in this field. She needs it to fall apart a little bit, though.
I'm looking for the turf sprints today because it just feels like there's going to be funny things happening in them. I just don't know that they're going to be as simple as wired. Now, I ended up on the speed, and I made these picks Friday night, I think, so it's not like, or Saturday, but I wasn't really thinking in that manner. All right, Deja Raconte comes out of a terrible race that a lot of these come out of, and that was, with all due respect to Cherie DeVoe, who that was her first win in New York, and I'm sure it's exciting, but I think even Cherie would say to me, I'm not going to knock what you're saying, because it's not like her horses come back and run particularly well. It's not a good race. This horse was supposed to win that day, and they loved this horse. Now, it was Danny Gargan, and now it's Steve Laceris, but Steve does a great job. If she didn't get left, she would have won. She broke 3/4 length slow and rushed up into a pace that just incinerated the late stages, and she really didn't run that badly in here, I think, all things considered. So what's going to happen here? Jose Lozcano, hopefully she race clean, is going to go to the lead. And this isn't a big bias selection. She's just the only one that I could take against the 8 and 9, because while I agree with you on the 14, even on a fair track, she's outposted.
Yes, she's got to improve, but she's interesting based on that race.
But she has to improve a lot.
She does
She's
have
a stretch,
to improve.
no question about it.
At least she'll be a price. The horse that I'm against that's going to take money in this race is the 6 Abby Normal, who's been in some very weak spots recently. This is a tougher maiden 40 than the ones that she's been coming out of, so I don't really want her at all.
Yeah, take a look at Bull Feathers, the Bob Dunham horse that beat her last time. I agree. But this is a fun, there's a lot going on in these races, and of course, one of my favorite horses bet against Fuzi. I don't know what was more incredible. That Fuzi was 3-5 3 starts back, that they bet her again in the next start, and they bet her on the dirt last time.
On the dirt last time.
That was, she's like a Ripley's horse. Unbelievable. Fun card today. The cards have been absolutely sensational, and the racing office is doing really, really a great job. I'm going to make fun of them because I wish they get the races out faster, but that's okay. They're doing such a good job getting them out that we'll give them a pass for that, because putting these cards together is not easy, and I kid. And it's just been a sensational job so far at Aqueduct. And it takes a lot of cooperation from horsemen as well. And, we benefit in some ways from the Laurel Turf Course. But yesterday there were 3 horses from Laurel on the card. It's not like that card was it's a lot of hard work from people. And these cards, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it shows you can get blown out in these cards. We've been fortunate enough to have a little bit of success. You can get blown out also, but you have opportunities. Because they're interesting races, and if you're right once a day, you're going to make money.
That's all you need, because these are competitive races. You'll get prices home.
Yeah, no. So you can't not be happy. And Thursday and Friday looking good as well. We'll be drawing Saturday a little bit later today. Also, head on over to Naira Bets, best place to bet all of our races and anywhere else in the country. Naira Bets, you will match up to $200. Use the promo code. He's not here, But think of Anthony Stabile and use the promo code Big A. Also, the handicapping contest, you've still got 3 days and 5.5 hours to sign up. So that's 77.5 hours, $500 buy-in. Some of it goes to the live money, some goes to the prize pool. Information at NYRA.com/challenge. You can come on track and play it. Come visit us in the Big A and play it or play it through NYRA Bets. Yet another reason to be a member of NYRA Bets. And once again, it's Veterans Day, and we want to say thank you. And we can't say thank you enough to all the veterans and all they have and continue to do for us in this country. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. And John and Brielle is coming up next with a reprise of the Scratches and Changes.
Ladies and gentlemen, on this Veterans Day, to honor America, please stand for our